queued up, and looks like you've been doing quite a few notes there, Mr. Lowry.
I was doing a little work. I was doing a little work, and I was trying to add a little bit more to it. I mean, did you hear that the CDC is releasing COVID monkeys in Pennsylvania?
What? COVID? No, I
There
haven't
was
heard about COVID. Now, I've heard that, the folks who have had an occurrence of COVID are
Well, Jesse
now
killed all those monkeys.
have more antibodies than those who
He
do
killed them
not, and
all.
all that, which is the reverse of everything. But I've not heard about the monkeys. What's up with the
well,
monkeys?
there was supposedly this truck that just all of a sudden was hauling a semi truckload of monkeys across Pennsylvania that randomly crashed, and now there's all these monkeys on the loose spreading disease and crap to all these people, and now there's people showing up to the hospitals with all these diseases up there in Pennsylvania
Well,
over these wild monkeys.
didn't Ebola originally stem, they think, from monkeys?
Yeah, there
Ebola is
was
the one where your
no.
skin starts bleeding and
Well,
like
there
all
was a
your
movie
organs.
about this. There was a movie about this. Remember the little monkey with Dustin Hoffman coming up in the backyard playing with the
Oh
kid? And
yeah, yeah,
everybody's dying, and then the government's got to drop a big bomb on this town to eradicate everybody. Remember that?
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's been
mean,
a while, but yes, I do remember the monkey, and I do remember Dustin Hoffman as the CDC guy or whoever he was, I forget, or some scientist professor type person or whatever.
yeah. But it's really happening in Pennsylvania. I mean, but Pennsylvania's a big state. I mean, at least they'll get the Dominion machines in the election right after
Well,
that, I guess.
now they have shown that white-tailed deer and snow leopards are two animals where the COVID virus has crossed into them, which basically like the same strain that's in humans, which doesn't happen all that often with viruses and stuff. So monkeys, yeah, the
Uh,
locusts will
oh,
be next, and here come the
oh,
horsemen.
good gosh. Let me guess. Wildlife Fisheries is fixing to start hiring agents so they can go out and immunize all the damn deer and everything else so we can't have COVID in the deer population. Is that what's
Well,
next?
if they do like they did say at Caney Lake, where they paid to put the carp in the lake to eat the grass, then realized that was a huge mistake when the fish ate all the carp, ate all the grass, which destroyed the big bass fishing down there for a decade. And then they were
It,
paying us all to go get the carp back out of the lake.
it never ends.
I forget. It was like, yeah, it was
COVID madness knows no ends.
knows no bounds. Speaking of COVID madness and being triggered and flying monkeys or whatever else, we do have a show to do tonight, which we didn't really promote this afternoon. Normally we do a posted event, folks, so we apologize for not having that tonight. We were both working and trying to get stuff done, so we'll just see how many people actually show up tonight.
Kaylee Larkin says it happened at LSU as well too. Said the Rona, not the Rona, but the lab animals getting loose.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, somewhere I have some really interesting comments for that, but I probably better save them since we're live and very public right now. So,
Yeah, well, what are we talking about tonight? What's on the agenda?
well, there's this school board issues going on, as well as, of course, there's a millage renewal that's most likely going to be on the ballot, I think, in March or whatever. And so that's kind of teeing up, looks like to be a pretty big topic. So we want to discuss a little bit of that, I believe. And then, didn't Tommy Chandler get like his own TV show?
Tommy Tommy Chandler. That's that. Yeah, that's right. Tommy Chandler. Tommy Chandler. He
The
went
mayor
out.
guy.
Yeah, the mayor. The mayor. That's right. T- Okay, I have got
You are
something going on here, like throwing me a loop. I'm
you
talking
are
to myself here.
obviously yeah, you are obviously distracted. So can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. It was on me. It was a little technical thing going on in the background here. But yeah, Tommy Chandler had a show dedicated to him, recognizing all his achievements. And I think tonight maybe we're going to have to, kind of see what all achievements he recognized for himself and maybe help him out with a little, reminder of the ones that he maybe didn't include in that recognition.
Could be interesting. All right, well, let's go ahead and do this because we got 30 something plus people. We're crowding 40 people watching, which is, we appreciate everybody watching. Not a huge number, but again, we appreciate everybody. Let's go ahead and do our intro and all that, and we'll share.
Well, hey,
What?
well, some of those people may be here to watch or talk about something about the school system, Bossier.
Well, that's what I was going to say is,
Has there been any ruckus lately about that or something? Have we made any posts on Bossier Watch?
well, we just asked a couple of questions, which spurred a bunch of comments, and that's kind of leads into the triggered scenario maybe a little bit, but we need to talk about that some.
Some people say that's stirring something.
Stirring a pot. Surely we wouldn't stir the pot here on this show.
No. But we will ask the tough questions.
Yes, we will. So let's go ahead and do the intro. Folks, if y'all would go ahead and tag your friends, especially if you know a school teacher, an educator, somebody associated with Bossier Parish School Board. We're going to begin discussing the millage renewal tonight, and I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in that. And, we like to get both sides, whether you're for or against it, so we appreciate anybody that comes in to comment. So let's do an intro. We'll be back in 3.5 minutes, folks. You know the deal. Text your friends, tag your friends, share this out. Tag some school teachers or school board members and let them know that we're going to be discussing some of the issues surrounding the millage renewal. And we'll be back here in, about 3.5 minutes. This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by Eagle Truck Center, soaring to new heights. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Well, we survived another countdown, although I've had a couple of little technical gremlins. Of course, I did upgrade the software right before we came on live. That's always not, or usually not the best idea to do in the whole world, but anyway.
Well, it isn't like this is the first time we've ever had gremlins, but it always seems to be when we're going to talk about, some issue that's important to a lot of people, or maybe there's some gremlin that pops up. It's almost as if we get zucked in one way or another.
Well, yeah, but I'd like to give credit out to the software developers that we use. I run the beta version of it, so I'm staying on the what we call the bleeding edge front end of it because usually they're pretty good in their beta testing releases that it's usually pretty stable, but this one kind of rearranged a couple of things and jacked with the audio a little bit, but I think we should be good to go now. So, all right. For those of us just joining, looks like we're up to over 50 folks watching now. So for those of you just joining, we got several topics to talk about tonight, don't we, Mr. Lowry?
Absolutely. We're going to get all over the school board stuff. Last show, I mean, we had a great guest, and we were trying to follow the school board meeting that was going on simultaneously. And we were getting texts about what was going on, at that school board meeting. And we've had time to review the meeting and kind of make some notes and save you guys the 2 to 3 hours of your time cutting to the chase on some of that and getting to the high point so that you can see and make your own decision. I mean, of course, we're going to throw our 2 cents in there, but
Surely
in
we would
addition to
never give our opinion or get on our soapboxes. Surely not.
yeah, I mean, soapboxes, opinions, 2 cents, whatever, maybe 4 cents, two for you, two for me. But getting to the point, hey, I shared a screen out to you. We're going to test, how up you are on your beta software testing here.
Hmm.
Anyway, shared a screen to you, and for everybody, and this segues into our discussion tonight on the Bossier Parish School Board. Um, did you hear about the FBI?
Well, it depends on the context in which you're asking, but let me get the screen set up here and we'll talk about it a little bit. So here we go. Let's see.
Well,
Yeah. So what's going on with the FBI?
apparently, the FBI has raided one of the COVID-19 testing companies, the people that make all the tests and do some of the testing. Apparently, they've raided them somewhere in Illinois or something to that, over false and late results.
Well, I don't wait. They've raided a testing company over
that
false
that's
results.
that's what the reports are coming in. I mean, apparently this company's got somewhere to the tune of $124 million, and there seems to be some questions revolving around the tests or the testing, or that
Uh,
there's some shenanigans. You know how we like to talk about shenanigans, but imagine
yeah.
that
Hmm.
there's some problems going on. But it's got to be serious if the FBI is rolling up in there to check on things.
Well, yeah, without a doubt. So, that is very interesting. They had a big testing deal going on over across the river out at the fairgrounds out there. And I don't know if it's still going on. I know it was, I think, last week, maybe week before. They had big lines of people out there to run through. I thought it was a hail damage thing. But no, as it turns out, they were mass testing people for COVID at the fairgrounds with the help of the National Guard and, whatever other agencies out there.
Well, they still giving $100, or were they giving $200 this time? I don't know.
Well, that I really don't know about. I didn't check into that part of it.
Yeah. Well, moving right along, the Bossier Parish School Board in their meeting last week. How do we want to do this? Do we want to jump straight off into the meeting, or do we want to kind of go to the nuts and bolts of dollars and cents?
Well, let's think about this for a second. So, um, let's go. Let's review a little bit of the meeting, and then we'll move into the tax dollars part of it. How about that?
That sounds like a plan. So, a lot of you may or may not know, or you may not realize that, like a lot of the bodies, their president and vice president and all that kind of stuff, they rotate on a regular basis. And I think that was the case in this meeting. But in this meeting, um, Adam Bass became the president. And, upon becoming the president, he gave a little speech, and he had some comments to say, and I think I've got it queued up, right there at the first hash mark, and I think it'd be interesting to hear his initial comments.
Yeah, and just tell me when you're ready to pause. So here we go.
I also want to thank District 3 Representative Tammy Smith for her service and leadership in 2021. Definitely got a chance to know you a lot better and know your heart, and I want to thank you for your service. So, I want to thank my fellow board members for placing your confidence in me to serve as the president in 2022. I also want to thank my friend Dennis Bamberg for his vote against me for serving as president. Although I know he intended his vote for a joke, it reminded me of my favorite Bible verse on how leaders should lead. Philippians 2:3 reads, "Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves." So thank you, my friend, for the reminder to always be humble. I want to thank my family. Brittany, come on, stand up.
All right, we can skip past all that.
Okay.
I'm sitting here. I was reading comments, not paying attention. We got to jump past that.
That's all right. I'm following your lead tonight, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That could be dangerous. So Adam ends up, going into the discussion about, their policy regarding COVID and what's come down from the Department of Health and Bossier and what have you. And let me see if I can jump in here and work this as well too.
Yeah, let me hit live review. So make sure you hit live review up at the top. And I think that's the best way for us to do it.
Got it. So we're going to jump to the 12:12 mark here, and we're going to listen to what I think this is what Adam had to say, which I think was pretty significant. So listen here.
In order to honestly evaluate what we can improve, we must listen. I have listened, and what I hear from both constituents and our employees is that what has been mandated by the governor and enforced by the Louisiana Department of Health and the Louisiana Department of Education for COVID-19 isn't working. We have repeatedly asked for information from these government entities in order to evaluate what could be done to improve the education of the students in Bossier Parish during COVID. The information we have asked for either isn't being tracked or these entities are unwilling to provide the data.
Now, did you hear that?
Yeah. Hey, well, I was listening to part of it. To be honest, I'm kind of trying to check our audio.
They have asked for data, and they haven't been getting data.
Now, imagine that. That sounds familiar.
They are supposed to be making decisions on behalf of our community and, parents and the citizens of this parish, and they've asked for information, and they haven't been getting information. I thought that was a pretty stunning thing to say right in his opening speech. And he goes on, he doesn't stop there, but he goes on and let's let you hear it.
Focus on educating. Simply put, I believe our new policy should be, if you are sick, stay home. If you are well, come to school. What about masks? Well, I'm glad you asked. I believe it should be the parent's choice whether the child wears a mask to school. I believe it should be the employee's choice whether they wear a mask to school. If you, as a parent, are uncomfortable with your child attending school in a face-to-face environment, then we have a virtual option for your child. I believe that decisions for what is best for each school district should be made at the local level of government, and that this board will make the decisions that we feel are in the best interest of our constituents, employees, and students. I feel that this board has always has the best interest of our constituents and their families at the forefront of the decisions we make. We were elected to represent those interests and not have those interests dictated or mandated to us by the governor or any other government agency. I want to ask those legislators in both the House and Senate to review the laws that have been used to dictate and mandate what is best for the students of Bossier Parish and the state of Louisiana. Bossier Parish is one of Louisiana's fastest growing parishes and one of Louisiana's...
Okay. We can hear all of that. But did you hear the one thing that he said? And it really caught my attention and it jumped out at me. Not dictated or mandated to us by the governor. That's some pretty strong words.
Yeah, it is. Now, I got to say that, we've heard some rumbling criticism, and I actually kind of agree with it, that, and I think we even kind of touched on it last week, that while we certainly appreciate the stance now, where was this stance even a month ago? What's changed?
Very true. Very true. I don't know. I think, even I think Adam and even Dennis and several of the other board members, they articulated throughout this meeting about the quantity and number of emails and calls that they have been getting about just overall education and the process in general. And I think they're getting their ears bent off. You know, Too often it seems like maybe the guys that are on the right side of things get their ear bent more than the people who are not on the right side of things get their ear bent. Maybe it's
True.
like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're going to talk to somebody that you think is going to agree with you, when in reality it's the people that don't agree with you are the ones that need to hear it the most, so that they know that their opinion is not the majority opinion.
Well, yeah, good point. And I'd also, on the flip side of what I just said, I'd also like to point out that during the masking discussions at previous meetings, and I gave him credit then, I'll give Adam credit that he was very receptive to letting folks speak and actually appeared, and I think he was sincere about listening to what they had to say on both sides of the coin. And in full disclosure, Adam is my Bossier Parish School Board district representative. And, I know him not real well, but we've had some dealings before. So, but I want to point out both sides of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to skip ahead and I'm going to jump past the next part of the meeting, which is, and I'm not the Sonia Bales part of the meeting, every meeting. Look, I know you're supposed to recognize people, but I'm going to say what, a lot of people may say. I mean, everybody likes to be shown appreciation and be recognized, but, I don't know. I mean, this is a business meeting. It seems like we're supposed to be, taking care of some business or what have you. But
Well, as long as she doesn't pull out the pom poms, and the little horn, thing that the cheerleaders use. I don't know. Anyway, you're right. It is good to recognize certain people, I suppose.
I got to tell you, well, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see pom poms the next time. But anyway,
Yeah.
you know, what would a school board meeting without the teachers union be? I mean,
Whoa, surely was it the Red River? What's that? Red River United? Is that the
yeah.
lady?
Let's
Oh,
hear a word. Let's hear a word from the teachers union. How about it?
yeah.
What do you
Let's
think?
hear that.
Just to remind everybody's there, give them a little bit of advertising.
Have one public comment. Jackie Lansdale, to speak on this item. Welcome, Ms. Lansdale.
Thank you so much, President Bass. Welcome to the city.
Thank you.
And President Bass, and ladies and gentlemen of the board, and Superintendent Down and community members, I am Jackie Lansdale. I'm the president of the Red River United. We are hearing that survivable rights in Bossier Parish are in jeopardy.
Okay, that's enough. She had her say. And ironically, that's pretty much what the board did, because she had her say and then nobody else listened. They moved right along as if she didn't even speak.
I'm trying to remember if that's the lady that almost had an aneurysm or stroke on television a couple of years ago during a millage
that's her.
discussion. Okay, yeah, okay, great.
That's her. You probably sent her into orbit like many other people, but she took it more so probably than other folks. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just fixing to ramble on. I wanted to. Julie Ferris put up a comment, says Bale's got a $150,000 PR job. Now, as far as I know, at least back in 2019, her salary was around $86,000 somewhere. So did she get another salary bump?
we might need to check some salaries, because if she's moved from the 86 range to the 150 range, that would account for some administrative expenses, I would think.
Well, Julie says, replying to us, says salary plus benefits. Okay. Anyway, all right, sorry, dude.
Well, if I'm a teacher and that is the case, I got to tell you, I'm probably about to lose my crap, because
Yeah.
that's wrong. I mean, at a minimum, there should be pom poms, if that's accurate.
Yeah, no kidding.
If we're not getting pom poms for that kind of money, then something is wrong.
Well, and I want to say this before we move too much further into the rest of the meeting. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but look, folks, when you see us post on Bossier Watch questions about the millage increase, don't automatically assume that either one of us are against the not millage increase, are against the millage renewal. That's not the case. We're questioning where the tax dollars go, because let's say that Julia is correct that that the PR person for the school board has got a $150,000 a year job, salary and benefits. The average teacher makes, if I remember right in Bossier, the average teacher makes 40 and a half, 46, 47, maybe 48 by now, I don't know, 1,000 a year. That's a pretty big discrepancy. And I know Sonia's got an important job. Lord knows the Bossier Parish School Board needs all the good public relations that they can get. But still, come on, folks. So anyway, I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, and Rex, you and I mean, we've been in politics. We've been around politics. My profession, I was a fireman and a paramedic. That was kind of my background. You a tech guy, professional fisherman per se, and now we're just kind of talking about issues in our community because we care. But sometimes when people, and you and I had a discussion before we started the show, sometimes when people are in their bubble, that old saying of you can't see the forest for the trees. When you're in the middle of the trees, you can't see the forest.
Right.
Well, that's what I think what we're trying to do. We're not taking a position for or against. We're not saying for or against, but we are wanting to kind of open the minds up to a little bit of the thought process on all of this, and maybe look into this a little deeper and think about it. Is that not, am I on point or not? Or
yeah, I think it's. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the videos by that guy Steven Crowder. And look, truth is, he's pretty right-wing conservative leaning, but he has a pretty good set of series of videos going. And so for instance, he'll say, I think the Second Amendment is great. Change my mind. And then he lets people come up and sit down with him and interviews them, and they have a legitimate discussion about it. And I think it will kind of be the same thing here, is that we all agree that teachers should be paid more, at least the vast majority of them. So the situation is, we think that the Bossier Parish School Board might be a little top-heavy. That doesn't mean that the millage should be voted no. We're not saying that, but hey, change our minds. Is the school board top-heavy or not? And so we're trying to open that dialogue as far as the administration side and some of their overhead.
Yeah, and so getting back onto the meeting and talking
Right.
about amending the policy, with the quarantine and the contact tracing, look, there is a monetary consequence as well as an educational consequence because of this school board and Mitch Downey, because let's face it, I'm going to jump on out there and say it. This school board does not function without Mitch Downey, the superintendent, telling them what to do and basically steering them as to what they're going to do. Those guys will all say, no, that ain't true. That's not right. Bull crap. I mean, come on. That's the way it has been. The superintendent steers everything. They've been the controlling factor, because if they wasn't the controlling factor, you'd be making decisions on your own and using your common sense, your judgment, and your logic. But we're going to jump off into more than that. But Rex, guess what? They had the colonel. Not only does he go to Bossier Parish, but the colonel showed up here.
Oh, really? So he's doing city council duties. I think he's probably been to the police jury and school board. He's actually doing what we say a lot of people should do, and I guess we should do it too. But going to the meetings and letting his voice be heard.
That's right. But an interesting thing about the colonel was one of those guys that kind of dug into the nitty gritty details, like when he was in the military. He's retired now. But fortunately for the community, he's digging into Bossier City, and now he's digging into the school board and some of their numbers.
Good for
And
him.
I think there's going to be some interesting numbers and stats and things come out that both teachers and folks in the community are going to really be interested to hear, because there was some knee-jerk reaction to our post about the millage renewals and the numbers and just the questions.
Yeah.
There were some comments flowing, was it not?
Yeah, look, we encourage the commentary. The truth be told, that's part of the reason that, we post things, obviously, is we're trying to engage the public. Just like we can get on our soapbox here on the show, we want y'all to be able to get on your soapbox in the comments here in the show or in the other things that we post. And yeah, it struck a little nerve and got some people engaged for sure. Okay, so anyway.
Now, so, Miss Brotherton, she made a comment, and I want to play it, and just we'll come back and have some commentary. So here we go.
I just want to say one thing that we need to stress again. This is a renewal. This is nothing new. This is what we have now. We're just asking to be renewed. So it's nothing new, no new taxes. It's just renewal. I think we need to stress that a whole lot.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rhodes.
Now,
Shall we commentate on that?
well, yes, it is a renewal, and we had Dennis Bamberg. He came on the show, I think a week or two before, and everybody started eating him up a little bit in the comments, and I think it was primarily over the COVID stuff, but and that was what we really had him on, was to talk about, and the fact that this was simply a renewal. And we've gotten a lot of comments since then. In fact, we got some contradictory numbers that we're trying to do some research on right now to determine whether it's accurate or inaccurate on the history of these, millages. But I think that's what generally everybody would like for everybody to know, is that these are simply a renewal. And, I pose this question to everybody watching the show. Should we ever, consider renewals? Should we ever have oversight over renewals? Do renewals ever go away? Do taxes ever go away? Or should renewals ever be subject to us asking the question, should they be renewed or not? Is it just mean it's off the table, that once they're passed, we don't reconsider anything? Is that the way it works?
Well, we had some commentary on, of course, on Bossier Watch on the post, and let me flip screens so you'll see me kind of going back and forth here for a second.
Should we talk about
that's
them?
not the right screen.
Should we talk about renewals? Because the teachers, and I get it, and teachers just hold on to your fire and thunder.
Right, don't light the torches yet, and keep the pitchforks. Don't sharpen them just yet. So this is the question that we posed on Bossier Watch, and I know it's a little small, but you can go to the Facebook page and see. But the question was, do you think the Bossier Parish School Board 46.5 mills tax should be renewed? Sound off in the comments. Please comment with a yes or no and your commentary. For example, yes, it is only a renewal, or maybe no, it's time to completely rethink the ad valorem taxes. And so, of course, I got one of my little cute screenshots there showing it. It's a fair question, because you're going to have to decide this at the polls here in a month or so, month and a half anyway. You're going to have to vote yes or no, one way or the other. And so, what we're trying to do here is spur the questions and the commentary. And look, even Michael Jackson showed up with popcorn.
All right. Laura Cannon Jorgensen says, no new taxes. Renewal keeps us in a holding pattern. Not renewing will hurt teachers and kids.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that renewal for just a second and how that works. So we consider it a renewal, but the truth is it's a 10-year millage, and so the tax would actually come off of the tax rolls, I guess may not be the right term, but anyway, it would fall off unless it is voted back in again. And so technically speaking, it's adding the tax back in, but we all commonly call it a renewal.
Yeah, and the thing is, with just automatically saying that if it's a renewal, we're automatically going to renew it. It's not a new tax, and so therefore we don't talk about it. I mean, what does that enable governing bodies to do? And in this case, when the teachers say, "Look, this is for our pay, this is for our livelihood, this is for us to be able to exist and continue on and maintain the status quo," in which we've had people that have messaged and said, look, this is just to maintain the status quo. I mean, some folks would say, is the status quo working? Is it functional? Are teachers being paid the right amount? Because teachers are the first ones to advocate, hey, we need to renew this. We need to maintain the status quo. But is the status quo working?
Well, so let me point out one part of the status quo that we hear frequently. We've heard it the last time that the millage increases came up, and there's already been some commentary here, and they're kind of lost down in the comments. But anyway, so I'll give you one example. I've heard from practically every teacher that you talk to in the public school system that, well, my salary is only X amount of dollars, and out of that, they have to buy their own supplies for the classroom. And they have to spend their own money out of their pocket. Well, first place, that's ridiculous. I know it goes on. I'm not disputing that at all. But if the teachers are having to come out of their pocket to supply the classroom with legitimate needed supplies, that's a bunch of BS. Why are y'all not all over the teachers union? And why isn't the teachers union backed by the teachers at every school board meeting until that gets fixed? Yet certain people on the school board administration side can make decent six figures. I don't understand that.
We got to have some clarification here. You trying to say all the teachers need to be in the teachers union? Because if last I checked, the teachers union was all on board with all the COVID mandates. Let's keep the kids at home. Let's teach by computer, CRT. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, I didn't advocate for that. I said the teachers union needs to be down there along with the teachers behind them. If they're gonna have to pay union dues, get your money's worth.
Well, they're not fighting for that. No, they're not doing
that.
No,
they're not.
Yeah, they're not doing that. But, the bottom line is teachers aren't getting the pay. They're not seeing, their bottom line increase. And it's the same thing with this. And you and I talk, it's a phrase that come out of that movie. Again, Dustin Hoffman, he's like in all of these movies. But wag the dog,
Right.
And I touched on it earlier, but governmental bodies use their employees, and in this case, we're talking about the school board, or the school system. They use their teachers as the crutch, or against the citizens. You're the tool applied against the citizens to get, millages, whatever passed. You're always the wedge. It's the same thing in the fire department, police department. You don't try to get some millage passed or renewed or anything without somehow or another tying it to the wage of the fireman, of the policeman. Teachers, you're no different.
Yeah, I'm going to take us off on a slight tangent for a second. So, Bobby Clare says, well, there's plenty of costs passed on to parents. Every year there's a list that comes home from the school on supplies that are needed. I want to address that for a second with a little personal example here. So we've had our boys in public school, and we've homeschooled them and then back into public school anyway. So when they were younger, they went to Waller Elementary School. The twins did. And so, yeah, they would get their list of supplies, Kleenex, crayons, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And every year we would diligently go buy the supplies, glue, whatever else they needed. So one year, it was only like October or November, we get a note from the teacher. They're out of school supplies. What? We bought like the entire list for the entire year. What do you mean they're out of school supplies? Have my boys been eating the Kleenex or, drinking the glue. What's the Elmer's glue? I mean, what's going on here? So we go down, have a little teachers meeting, and she says, well, we had some of the less fortunate kids here, and they needed supplies, and so we always share out of everybody else's. I put the brakes on. Wait a minute. Now, I'm the first person that will help anybody in need. And if there's a student there and they need supplies, sure. But don't just assume you can take from all of our supplies that we bought, and 3 months into the school year, my boys are out of supplies, and now we got to go, I'm talking, this is like $150, $200 worth of supplies, whatever it was. And now we have to go stock back up again, and you didn't even ask us? So that is a legit problem. Now I'll get off my soapbox and we can get back on topic.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things, one, like Bobby Claire Schomburn says, well, there's plenty of costs passed on to the parents. Every year there is a list that comes from the school on the supplies that are needed. Agreed. The parents are bearing a lot of responsibility. And Tracy Augustini, that's true. And I buy those supplies for my personal children to take, and also from my students who show up with nothing. Agreed. And what we're saying is it's bull crap.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Are having to do that.
Yeah.
It's bull crap.
Where is the administration? And trust me, I'm going to ask Adam Bass specifically about this. This needs to be addressed. We've heard this for years.
But exactly, Rex. This has been going on for years. But it goes to why we're talking about what we're talking about, because education as a whole, the whole system has been changing. And I would argue it may not be changing for the best. And I'm wondering so renewals, everybody says renewals, we're going back to that question. Are we not can we never, ever take a step back and look at the whole system and say, is it working the way it's supposed to work? Is it the most efficient is it the most efficient that it can run? And I know saying the word efficient and talking about a government organization or entity is kind of crazy. And again, we're talking about the administration side. We know that the teachers have a tough fight and deserve the pay that you get, and arguably more. Our point is, and you're going to hear us say this repeatedly, is that it's too top heavy on the administration side, and that's not a fault of the teachers, except we keep putting these same people into play to make all these decisions. And ultimately, it never fails. The teachers are the tools against the citizens. It ends up being the teachers that are fighting the citizens.
Yeah, and I want to.
I'm glad roll on with it.
Yeah, I think we're headed to the same place. I want to bring up Xander Morris Ashley's comment, and it's a good one, because the teachers are afraid to see it through. Retaliation is real. Teachers keep voting against their own interests, period. The school board and central office is fighting for everything but education. That's the problem. Yes, ma'am, I agree with you 100%.
And to the teachers here. Now, the teachers have limitations as to what they can. A lot of people say, well, and you're saying it, why don't the teachers just jump out there and take the fight? Well, I do know that teachers say what they can to the, school board members, but they have limitations. I don't think they're governed by the Hatch Act, but they can't just jump out there on social media and start doing all the things that they would like to say. They do have some limitations. And here's the thing, I don't know, it's everywhere. Look, case in point, Shreveport. You had the 80 plus, just today, I don't know, what was it? He was the finance guy for the city of Shreveport. He objected to some of the expenditures of the mayor and said, it's not lawful to do those things. And they ended up firing him. Now he's fixing to have a lawsuit against the city,
Right.
for wrongful termination.
Right.
And there's no reason that I wouldn't believe that same scenario wouldn't happen in Bossier. Look, I spoke up against people in Bossier City at the fire department. For example, Sammy Halfin wanted to conduct training that wasn't in compliance with state or national standards. And you know what they did? They came after me, disciplined me to try to silence me.
Right.
That happened in Bossier City. And what was the end result? Because they didn't want a lawsuit for substandard training that was going on with the paramedics.
Well, so yeah,
It happened.
retaliation. Yeah, retaliation is a real thing, and look, we had posts on our Facebook page too, alluding to the fact that there's only so much that the teachers they're told what they can and cannot say on social media. They're given training and what the repercussions are for that, and it just I don't know. It keeps on going and going and going and going, and the teachers and ultimately the students get the losing end of the stick with all of this. So I want to put up the post that we did about the millages here in a second. Let me see if I can get this ready here, because there was a question about how the millages work and that sort of thing. So I want to address that here in just a second. Let's see. There we
Yeah.
go.
Go ahead.
All right, so there was a question up in the comments. I think it was Grady Davis. Grady Davis says, "Are taxes paid by property owners only used in are taxes paid by property owners only used in that district, or are they lumped together and distributed to whoever, just like school supplies?" Well, let me just give you the basic scenario, Grady. And I'm no expert on this, but because of 2019, I got a little educated on it, and we had one of our commenters asked us to clarify how the millages work and who collects them. So I want to make sure that everybody's aware. The tax assessor's office literally does the assessments on the property values. The tax assessor's office doesn't collect taxes. That's the responsibility of the sheriff's department. That whole you don't pay your property taxes goes up to sheriff's sale deal. And I put an example up here, and these are numbers from 2019. But as of 2019, at least, businesses in Bossier Parish account for approximately 70% of taxes paid in Bossier Parish. And that's ad valorem tax, which is not just on their property, the building and the land, but they're also taxed on inventory and equipment, including most fixtures, for instance, phones and shelves. That's why you see some car dealerships will move their inventory to Texas, around the end of the year or whenever that period is when they're counting inventory. And then I put up a quick example on the residential side. And again, I'm no tax expert, but on the residential side, if you have a residential property value of $100,000, there's a $75,000 exemption. So that gives you a net value of $25,000. There's an assessment rate of 10, so that drops that down to $2,500. And at the 46.5 mil rate, which is what the renewals are going to be, a 26.5 and then two 10 mil rates, that's $116.25 per year. So somebody double check my math on that and make sure that I'm correct. All right, so I just want to put that up there, to even though we posted that, to make sure everybody watching tonight got to see it.
Now, we intend to stay on top of these dollars and this renewal and the money, and probably go into a little more depth here in the future, because we've gotten a lot of messages and emails about some of these numbers, and we needed to look a little closer at some of these numbers and have a little bit more of introspection on these things. Again, not that we are for, against, indifferent or whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, what I can say and what I would tell everybody watching, unequivocally, the rank and file teachers out there busting their ass, spending their money for the students in the classroom and wanting to make it happen, that's who I stand with.
Agreed.
Any of the folks in administration or the jackwagons in the office up there, putting all of the, edicts down on all of the rank and file. I mean, I'm not standing there with you. I'm not standing there with you, because preliminarily we've gotten some numbers that are showing us that over the course of, I think it was over a 10-year period, that administration has seen a 200% increase in their monies, where the rank and file has only seen somewhere to the tune of 100 to 140% increase.
Yeah, it's out of whack.
There's a disparity there, and it's out of whack. And I know that you and I aren't going to let it go, but this show, we were going to touch on that. We weren't going to go all the way, and I think we went further than we wanted to go.
Yeah, probably I did.
Probably so. So I'm going to get back on task about this last school board meeting. And it goes to the point, because at the end of the day, it's all about money, because a lot of money, a lot of the COVID decisions and stuff it's about money, because there's a lot of money changing hands about how long school boards quarantine and how long they make the decisions that they make. And you need to understand that. So let's jump straight to what took place here. And I think that at the 58-19 mark, and I'll cue it up,
Yep. Go right
is
ahead.
where the motion was made, and Dennis Bamberg. And maybe a day late and dollar short, but here it goes.
I didn't see the vote tally. Unanimous. Okay, it's approved unanimously. Item 3.06. Request possible amendment of Bossier Parish School Board COVID-19 screening protocols. I asked for this to be put on the agenda to give board members an opportunity to comment, have back and forth, vote on this. I was very clear in my opening remarks where I stood on it, but I want to give other board members an opportunity to speak. Mr. Bamberg.
This is something that this board has been charged with from the beginning. Been unbelievably some hard decisions that we've had to make in the past concerning masking, how do we handle COVID. We want to keep our students and our teachers and our employees safe as possible. And to date, I think we've got everything that we've been charged to do as school board members. But we are charged with and I just wrote down some notes here, so it'll probably be all over the place, but our main agenda here is to educate children, and to do that in the safest manner that we can as a school board and school system. So right now, as we look at it across this parish, we're not educating children to the point that I feel like is the Bossier way. And that's due to the absences of many of our students that have COVID, many of our employees that have COVID. But there's also probably, I would say, 4-to-1 ratio of students that are going home and employees that are going home because they are close contact quarantine based on the policy the way it reads now. We're talking about, I think last Friday it might have been.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there and jump ahead. Basically, Bossier is heralded as, being a good school district, being a school district that, is one that folks want to come to.
Right.
Even the Bossier Parish School Board, school system, they say, they take claim that part of the reason people move to Bossier is so that they can come to the school system.
Yeah, and look, Bossier has had, what is it, overall 10% growth or whatever, the number that they always tout in the last decade or since the last census or whatever. And look, I would agree that a large part of that growth, or at least a good percentage of it, is because Bossier Parish does have a good school system.
Well, that number, 10%, that pairs with the overall population increase of Bossier as well. You would think that you would see that same increase within the school system. But he's saying, he said it right there, we're not educating according to the historical Bossier way. He acknowledges it. It's not happening.
Well, that's he put on his big boy pants.
He did. First Adam Bass calls out, or basically lays it out at the governor. What did he say? Dictatorial, or however he said
Right.
it. Then Bamberg says, we're not educating folks. Now, I don't think that they're just making this crap up. I don't think that Bamberg's just making this crap up. And by the end of this video, you guys are going to see, I got to tell you, by the end of this show, there's a student that gets up here and speaks. And you guys, I hope you all hang in here, and I hope you watch this. If you're a teacher, you should be proud. And if you're just somebody who lives in Bossier and you care and you're watching the show, you're going to want to hear this kid, because I got to tell you, if you don't have much hope about the future and where things are going, this is going to give you hope.
Well, but before you play that, I wanna help Houghton out here a little bit because I take jabs at Houghton every now and then, so I want to help you out there, Duke. So Dee White Clark says, yeah, Bossier school system is great if you're willing to kiss ass, join one of the many cliques, and do not have a special needs child. But then she came right back and said, Houghton High has been great for my son for the most part. So we want to give a little credit there to Houghton.
All right. Well, just for the record, you can't be the superintendent unless you're a coach in Bossier. And all the teachers in the parish are yelling, yay, somebody said it. Somebody said it. Why is it that we can't have a superintendent in Bossier that's not a coach?
Well,
and I'm not bashing all the coaches. Coaches have every opportunity. I mean, they should be. I mean, but for some reason in Bossier, it seems like you can't be the superintendent unless you're a coach. Why is that?
That is a very good question. We need to go back. Have you done the research yet on like all the past superintendents? That's crazy.
I have not, but Jane Smith, I mean, I don't know. She was maybe cheerleading, pep squad.
Yeah.
She was a superintendent.
Yeah.
But I'm not wrong. I'm telling you there's this thing there. There's something there about it.
All right, so somebody educate me tonight, either in the comments or Duke, you may already know, I'm not sure. What is the difference in the superintendent and then the president of the school board? I mean, I know by title, but why? Why do we have both? What is the advantage or disadvantage?
Well,
other than one gets paid a lot more money than the other.
I don't think many people would argue that historically our school board, while it's our elected officials and they're supposed to basically say to the school system how things are supposed to go, arguably the superintendents have directed and steered the school boards to whatever they want. And I would argue that today, for the most part, that is the case and nothing has changed. But COVID may have opened the door for folks to realize that you can't just depend on your superintendent to steer. I mean, if you're elected to be a school board member, I mean, like being a councilman in Bossier City, who can't ask the question where, if you watch our show, name a councilman in Bossier City who can tell you the 8 digits that the quote unquote man shack Ruttenbuck said would cost the city, if they paused the Walter O. Bigby Carriageway project and get one councilman to tell you what that 8 digits would be. Not a single one of them can do it.
Yeah, paging Chris Smith and Brian Hammonds. All right, but yeah,
school board, same thing.
Right.
I'm, with the exception of maybe Bamberg and Adam Bass now, and Newman's there a little bit, and Bachhaus, he seemed to be trailing in there, but
yeah.
But they're not asking the questions. These boards are not supposed to be kumbaya. We're all on the same page and a big love fest. These boards, council, police jury, school board, you're supposed to argue. You're supposed to do it in the public.
Ask questions. Yeah.
Make me believe why your opinion or your idea is right. Ask the hard questions. Air it out in public. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to go up there to be my best friend if I'm on the school board with you. That's not the goal of this. You're supposed to be representing me. And the teachers, you're the guys. If you're having to buy all these dadgum, supplies and stuff for people, you shouldn't have to be doing that. And these guys and girls on these boards are the ones that should be making those arguments for you. They're the ones that should be doing it. But yet we all as citizens continue to keep electing all these jackwagons that have a pretty smile on their face and don't get up there and argue in front of all of us for all of us to make our own decisions.
Amen to that.
I'll stop. My blood pressure's getting up a little bit.
We're trading soapbox back and forth, but I would like to point out again, Xander says they're all like-minded. They don't speak for the community. They all speak for the Bossier Parish School Board, not even the teachers, which is basically mirroring what you just said.
Okay. So the motion gets made.
Right.
We're going to go ahead and jump off of there.
I would like a motion motion that amends our COVID protocol to the following. Students and employees that are COVID positive or experiencing symptoms stay home from school for 5 days. That's what we have in place right now. And then we stop close contact quarantining students and employees and require them to stay home from school.
All right, I have a motion for Mr. Bamberg.
Okay, so basically he made a motion. If you're sick, you stay home. If you're well, you come to school. It goes to teachers and it goes to the kids.
That's a common sense solution, Duke.
It's common sense. Where do I go? So
Good question. I'm just ad-libbing as we go. And I don't know what all else you have marked there.
all right.
Where
So
are
here, all right. So that is simple. Everybody, if you're watching, I mean, if you're sick, you go home. If you're well, you come to school. Goes for teachers and students. Right there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Common sense. All right. So now at the 113 mark, I want y'all to watch something. Oh, well, as small as the screen is, you may not be able to see it, but watch the superintendent. Watch the superintendent.
Is that him kind of leaned over talking?
He's whispering into one of the school board members' ears.
Deal that we're trying to stop from happening.
And then watch what happens next.
One second, Mr. Okay, Mr. Wiggins.
I understand Mr. Snell was here from home security. I'd like to ask him to speak. We would, if you allow, please.
All right. Now, the school board member that the superintendent just leaned over and whispered in his ear, all of a sudden jumps up and he's calling on Ian Snellgrove. Did you catch that? Y'all see that?
I saw him leaned over whispering.
Now he leans over and he may have leaned over and whispered and said, "Hey, what's that cologne you're wearing tonight? It smells pretty good. I like it." But then all of a sudden, after he gets through whispering, all of a sudden, that school board member is calling on Ian Snellgrove. And if y'all don't know who Ian Snellgrove is the representative from GOSEP. And what is GOSEP? Y'all may be asking. GOSEP is the Governor's Office of Homeland Security. Let me repeat that again. Governor's Office of Homeland Security. And here's where things get a little interesting.
Being able to speak to the group. My name is Ian Snellgrove. I'm the emergency manager for Bossier Parish. I work for the police jury. And one of my jobs as emergency manager is to collect data from the Department of Health, Louisiana Office of Public Health, and also our emergency plan states for our parish to follow some of their guidance. So what I do is I get that guidance and I pass it through to the leaders of the parish, and I've got like 160 something people on my email list, and I don't know how many people get it, but a lot of people at the school board do get it. And what it's for is for different things, for anywhere from disaster recovery to like COVID mitigation. Like what I'm here to talk about tonight is this COVID deal. So basically, the information I get from within the Department of Health and from the Region 7 hospital coordinator is to let our parish officials know what's going on with COVID inside our community. And so that's what I'm here to tell you about. I got a little bit of information for you. Basically, the facts are that we appear to be at the peak of a pandemic. As of today, the state started putting our parish numbers back on the dashboard. We're at 31,401 cases, and sadly to say we're at 425 deaths. Yesterday, 407 COVID positive patients were in the Region 7 hospitals. There's 34 hospitals, 22 of them have COVID patients in them. 16 of the hospitals that have COVID in them are in the Shreveport Bossier area, with the majority of the patients, like I said.
Okay. Let me sum up.
Translate and give us a summary.
Let me sum up everything that he just said and he's continuing to say. And basically, he's reading the governor's talking points. Yawn.
Well, is he appointed by the governor?
No, he's not appointed by the governor. And
Okay.
look, let me say this. Ian Snellgrove is a good guy. I worked with Ian at the Bossier City Fire Department. He is a stand-up guy. He's doing his job. He's doing what he's told to do. And he was a good fireman. I like Ian. I like Ian a lot. I'm not bashing him personally in no way, shape, form, or fashion. And I know he's just reading the talking points that he was told to read. But it's BS. Um,
Surely not.
it's BS. Um, you know, let me keep playing because there's a part here that he's going to say, and I want you guys to listen to this.
From our Hospital 7 region coordinator. The highest community spread is greater than 100 people that are sick per 100,000 population, and we're over that. For the past 10 days, we've been over 400 people reported with COVID case incidents. So I thought that was important for you to understand the seriousness and how much COVID is in the community. So you can make an informed decision because it's part of our job at BOSEL is to give the leaders the information so they can have proper situational awareness so they can make their best judgments they can for their employees and for the citizens of the parish.
Okay, it didn't pop up. I guess I had the timestamp wrong, but basically he articulated that the ERs are completely backed up, and you got people lined up in the halls against the walls, stacked up in gurneys all along. The ERs are like crammed, packed, shut, and it's a dire situation.
Hmm. Hmm.
Anybody that's been in emergency medicine or on an ambulance, or a fireman that's been on an ambulance or went to the emergency room to LSU, I'm just wondering, before COVID was ever even dreamed of, do you ever recall seeing people on gurneys in the halls in the emergency rooms of the hospitals? Hell yeah. This ain't nothing new. People are always put on gurneys they're not always just shoved straight into a room. It's always
Yes.
kind of been like that.
Like the
So,
old lady says, that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all.
So it begs the question, if somebody wants to push this question and ask some questions, say, well, okay, you're saying all these COVID things, well, how many of them have other problems and they just came in there for some other problem and then they're tested and they happen to be COVID, or they've had COVID, or the test's reliable, so if Ian Snellgrove is going to get up here and he's going to talk and he's going to say, as a matter of fact, and he's reading numbers that are sent to him for him to speak, he should be able to field questions, right? If he's being heralded as being the authority,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as it would turn out, Bachhaus, he asked a question.
Oh,
so
really?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, see, I didn't see this part.
Okay, 1 second. Mr. Buckhouse and then Mr. Bamber. Sure.
Ian, the figures, I have no doubt about, I'm sure those figures are accurate. Do you have any breakdown on the age of all of those patients, or whether they were contacted at school?
We don't. Well, the Office of Public Health has that, and I suggest y'all reach out to them or to whoever manages your health care within your school system, your medical director could answer those questions.
I believe we have reached out to them.
So bottom line,
You got
I
anything
don't know.
to support your Matt? No, not really.
I don't know. I got no numbers. I mean, call Department of Health. I mean, that's who I got these numbers from, or what I'm told to come up here and talk to you about. I mean, it's just a bunch of papers that were stuck in my face and told me to come speak. Here you go. But wait,
There's more?
that's not it. Bamberg, he's going to take a shot. Now, I'll give Ian credit. Ian did good. He tried to carry the water. He did as best he could, but Bamberg didn't let it go. To Bamberg's credit, Bamberg pushed and forced him. Bamberg could have easily backed off. I'll say this about Bamberg. this was a good exchange, and Bamberg didn't take the simple answer, and he made him give an answer. Made him give an. Let me just play it. I'm word salading it to death.
This is just something that I've heard for a very long time. Maybe you can shed some light on it. First of all, thank you for your information. I think that's the kind of stuff that we need to push back and forth to make some decisions. But one, when we're talking about hospitalized patients, is that patients that are in the hospital that have COVID?
Yes,
Are they
sir.
in the hospital because they have COVID?
They're in the hospital because of they have COVID. And,
I mean, so it's COVID. That's why they're there, is because they came in with COVID, not because they came in
COVID only versus secondary.
I mean, do they count a person who goes in with the flu and they test them and get COVID? Do they say, oh, that's a COVID case?
If it's reported on the numbers that I get from that Region 7 hospital coordinator, and it's the 407 COVID positive patients, they're being treated for COVID. And sometimes,
I guess the question is it only COVID? Or
I have no idea. I don't really know.
I've heard always that, we're 28% positive in our area, and there's a motor vehicle accident, and you got a 28% chance that one of those people that getting treated for a broken leg would have COVID, and that counts as a COVID case. I don't know that.
You'd have to ask the hospitals that. I just know that Region 7 hospital coordinator information and information from Louisiana Office of Public Health that I get is what I've been told is COVID positive patients only.
So, bottom line is I have no idea. I'm just the monkey who was called here to spew talking points to steer you to follow the dictatorial edicts brought down from the heavens in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that's a good
Oh, wait a
summary of
minute.
that.
Wait a minute. He didn't say that. I said that.
Well, he may as well have said it. It's about the same thing. There's a term in the tech community called FUD, F-U-D. Do you know what that acronym stands for?
You're going to have to expand on that a little bit because I don't know.
All right, so again, the acronym is F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And amazingly, certain corporations like to spread FUD against their competitors when their competitors are launching a new product or a new service or whatever. And they like to spread, that's not going to be safe. There's no way that'll work, blah, blah, blah. That sounds remarkably familiar to what Ian here, and again, I understand he's just doing his job, whatever, is trying to do here, or at least the governor's office and the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, good gracious, if everything was secure and hunky-dory, we wouldn't really need an Office of Homeland Security in the parish. We already have like a sheriff's department, multiple police departments, a posse. I mean, just saying.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And I don't know. I mean, Darren Ashley says Downey gives the same response. Duke, he referenced the Department of Health for data. Downey says 1% of the entire Bossier school is positive, so 2,300 kids have it, but they can't tell you how many per school. So if you don't know how many per school, how can you tell who is doing it right or doing it wrong?
It's just so confusing.
Agreed. I mean, yeah. and later on, we're going to show you where literally they say, it's science, but not sound science or something along that line. I mean, it's absolutely maddening, the whole thing.
It is. All right, so give me a second here and bear with me because I want to circle back for a second. So Angie put a good comment up. Actually, she was responding to Kara about buying their supplies. But she points out if you or your children ever used a Kleenex or threw something away on a bus, the driver bought the supplies that made that possible. If anyone doesn't think that paraprofessionals aren't spending their own money on students and supplies, they are delusional. No one has ever talked about it because teachers are the main focus of conversation, blah, 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 blah. Look, I can attest to that. If my mom's watching tonight, she was probably going to cringe since I'm kind of mentioning her a little bit, but my mom was a paraprofessional for the Bossier Parish school system. She recently retired a couple of years ago, and she and I have had the conversation in the past about having to buy supplies, and I've told her she's pretty much straight up crazy for doing that. I understand why, but that should be on the school board's responsibility, not out of the pockets of the bus drivers, the paraprofessionals, or the teachers. So I want to keep going back to that point that this is getting ridiculous. Meanwhile, we'll circle back around and get back to the COVID stuff.
Yeah, teachers nor bus drivers ever signed up for the deal knowing that they've got to buy all the supplies to support the job that they're going to get hired at. I mean, that's bullcrap. And if you are doing that and you're signing up for it, I mean, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, we do. We'll expand on some of this more in future shows as we get more data on it. But I just wanted to point that out. It was a long comment, so I just wanted to summarize it. Okay, sorry, Duke, but let's get back to COVID.
Yeah, so COVID and Ian here, and and what Bossier Parish is doing. Ian talks about how for the past however many years he's been emailing all the principals from the Department of Health of what the latest stats are. And Mr. Bass kind of paid attention to what Ian was saying and had a question.
Mr. Snowgrove, my question is, you said you had an email list. I know that I'm not on it. How often does that email come out? I guess would be my first question.
Okay, so I've been doing this for 7 years, almost 8 years now for the police jury. And so it was a small list. It was just a Parish Emergency Management Advisory Committee. And so then we realized more people need the information because we just created the office. And so it's grown. So people have asked me to add them to the list. And basically it's my boss, who's the police jury administrator. I work for 3 people. I'm employed by the Bossier Police Jury, but I work for an executive council, which is the Mayor Tommy Chandler and Sheriff Wiggington. And of course, my boss is the police jury administrator or the police jury president. I kind of list all 4 of them. So that's if they tell me to put somebody on the list, that's who I put on that list. If they have a need to know that information, I'll be glad to add anybody on the list.
Okay, so right there, I just want to stop, and so that the 90 to 100 plus people watching the show right now, outside of Facebook or on Facebook and outside of there, bottom line here is the people who are making decisions like Mitch Downey. Yes, Adam, you just think you're in charge. Know your place, water boy. We'll put you on the email list when we so choose.
Right.
The point here he's saying is that him and the rest of the school board, you ain't been on a need to know base. Who are you? Mitch Downey dictates what happens to the Bossier Parish school system, not you, the school board, the elected representatives of the community. It's not your place to make these decisions. It's his. He's the only one been getting the information for ever since the thing started. That's what he just said.
Yeah. I don't even know where to begin. Bureaucrats. That's all I got to say. Bureaucrats.
Anyway, I had some other snarky comment in the notes, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to skip over some of this. Now, interestingly, I am going to jump to the 123 mark because Mitch Downey does jump up here and he makes some comments that I think we're going to follow up on. So, Chief Zagoni, get ready.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Downey?
I had a conversation yesterday and decided to try to gather some information because I know that there's frustration over what we've been dealing with for over 20 months. So I reached out to 5 different doctors and the fire chief of Bossier City and asked them about suspending the quarantine for close contacts and asked them what their opinion would be on that. And the opinions were similar, but the one request was don't do this during a spike. And so my opinion, based on feedback from the medical community of Bossier Parish, is that this may be a conversation after the spike is over, but according to the request made by our doctors that serve us and our families, they would appreciate no additional pressure based on a decision to remove the quarantine during the spike.
Okay. So the superintendent, based on the medical community of Bossier Parish, consisting of 5 unknown doctors and Fire Chief Zagoni of Bossier City, that's where he's gotten his information and made his decision. Now, That's it. Fire Chief Zagoni in Bossier City and 5 unknown doctors. So what I want to know is the 5 doctors. I want to know who the 5 doctors are, and I want to know what their profession is. What field of medicine are they in? Are they chiropractors? Are they psychologists? Are they, microbiologists? What are they? What is their thing? Because if that constitutes the medical society of Bossier Parish, I want to know.
Yeah, it would have been better if he would have mentioned the names. I mean, I guess we could do I don't know if it'd be worth it or not, but I guess we could do a public information request. They're not going to like that when we start firing those off to the school board about some of this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. And, earlier we were talking about a little bit about the fear mongering. Well, here you go, front and center. Let me play you a little bit of the fear mongering that was going on regarding this.
Sending my child home well than sending them to the graveyard.
Yes, that's a good point. But does that parent have an opportunity to decide for their children? No. Somebody in Baton Rouge is making that decision, not us. And that's the problem. And railroads do not signify whether it's a 3rd grader or whether it's a 70-year-old person. And so I have a little trouble with those figures. That's all
Dr. Newman, just clarification, Mr. Bamberg's motion made it to where it's not a...
Okay. Timestamp got off there. Apologize, folks. Miss Brotherton, she jumped in there and she had some common sense stuff. She talked about, some of the problems that kids are having by not being in school, and that, there is a consequence as well for that happening, now. I really appreciated her comments, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there are some legitimate concerns with the let's just say haphazard at best structure that the kids have had or not had in the last couple of years of COVID, and that affects some kids more than others. Kids and adults learn differently, and so not everybody's going to be able to adjust, to this crazy learning environment that we've had for the last 2 years. Yeah, and so those are legitimate questions.
Yeah, and, there was a point being made about the number of teachers that are being sent home, and that whether they're sick or not, just in case they came in contact, they're being sent home and they're running out of sick days because they're having to use their sick days. And whether they're sick or not, they have to go quarantine. Those are sick days. They're running out of sick days. I mean, it's madness.
Yeah, well, it is, and we've used that term COVID madness now for a while. And look, folks, not to claim that Duke and I are soothsayers, but we came out a while back and did almost a whole show, if not maybe a whole show, on the mask and the N95. As you well remember, Duke not only had his tinfoil hat on, but had his full respirator on. And the truth is, and I said a long time ago that one of the reasons that they were promoting the cloth mask and just put something on was because there was a shortage of N95s. N95s were the only masks that could begin to help really protect you from anything. The rest of it was just a dog and pony show. And guess what the mainstream media is now reporting? That exact scenario that Duke and I have talked about previously, and apparently they haven't quite caught up yet on the school board or the Department of Homeland Security or whatever, GOSHEP or whatever it's called, which would be normal for government bodies and, bureaucrats.
Yeah, and I didn't read all of the comment, but, what Zandra Ashley said something to the effect of, change my mind or something, or what's better or whatever. Natural immunity.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's an arcane idea, and people don't believe in it, but
Oh,
natural immunity.
oh, wait, there's
Hello.
more. There are reports out from the CDC now, which has not been pushed out mainstream, but you can search and find it from the CDC. I'm not talking about Billy Bob's, redneck website. And there are recent studies done where having had COVID and the vaccination obviously offers the best immunity and best long-term results. But number 2 on the list is just simply having had the virus and had to go through the symptoms, which is getting towards the whole herd immunity concept that a lot of people, including myself, have been talking about since this whole ordeal started. Yes, it's real. Yes, there are plenty of people who have died from it. Is it as bad? Is it worth shutting down basically a large chunk of our economy and our school systems and disrupting our entire lives for the last 2 years? No, it doesn't have that high of a kill rate. It just simply doesn't. But that's a whole other topic. Sorry, I'm deviating from our plan tonight.
I'm getting blown up in my messages, and it's distracting. I appreciate it, but it's distracting.
That's okay.
But I don't want to get away from, the Mr. Bullard. Mr.
Okay.
Bullard. Mr. Bullard. Let me go ahead and play Mr. Bullard, unless you want to get those comments real quick.
Oh, I was just pointing out that Xander said, I say keep your child home if your child is sick, but that's too complicated, obviously. Agree 100%, Xander.
Agree 100% as well, too. So Mr. Bullard at the 141 mark, he has some comments. So let me play them.
Of our student body. I have reached out to the superintendent, reached out to our legal counsel, I've reached out to our risk person.
Now, Mr. Bullard disagreed with going ahead and changing. In fact, he seconded, I think it was Tammy Smith's motion to table changing the policy. Now, yes, Kaylee Larkin, Glenn Bullard woke up for the meeting, apparently. But, I find it interesting that Glenn Bullard chose such a diverse group of opinions, to seek counsel on the subject, having called the superintendent, the legal counsel, and risk management. I'm wondering, did he think he was going to get any difference of opinion from those individuals? Come on now. The legal counsel for the Bossier Parish school system, as we articulated in a previous show for all of you watching, maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know, but they're one of the largest donors to Governor John Bel Edwards. So I'm wondering, do you really think a law firm that has all their donations to John Bel Edwards are going to actually go against what John Bel Edwards wants and give advisement? And you think, well, the superintendent's probably got a mind of his own. He'll probably go a different way. Well, newsflash, apparently your superintendent in Bossier Parish and the John guys, they're big duck hunting buddies.
What?
They're big duck hunting buddies. Then look, I know some of our folks watching, I know you're Democrats. We appreciate you watching, just because we're conservatives. But the thing is we find common ground. We do.
Yeah.
But the point is, I don't give a crap if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent,
No party, whatever, doesn't matter, yeah.
I don't care, but we don't have a superintendent to make decisions for the Democrat or Republican Party, and we don't have legal counsel to steer things the way the governor wants. But apparently, you've got like-minded people, and Bullard, who's supposed to be a Republican, he's going to take all of these guys and expect he's going to get a different opinion from them other than what the governor has, or something that's not political, Republican or Democrat, that's non-biased. Bull crap. Well,
I blame it all. I blame it all on Seabiscuit.
Oh, I got to hear this.
Well,
Yeah.
if
How the
Seabiscuit
heck does
if-
Seabiscuit play into this?
if Seabiscuit would have done what they said they were going to do 2 years ago, they were going to, derail the governor's efforts, and they were taking him to court, and they were going to win. And guess what? Hint, they lost again.
All
and
talk
again.
and bluster. All talk and bluster.
Yeah, so I blame the whole situation in Bossier on Seabiscuit. There we go.
Either way, and okay. And so at this point, and if you listen to Glenn Bullard and Tammy Smith, both of them, they both say and they both articulate, they say, look, we just want to, they end up attempting, there's a motion and a second, and I don't remember if it was Tammy or Glenn, but either way, peas and carrots, they stuck together on this. So we want to, let's table this and let's move it on to February the 3rd or the next meeting or whatever. Well, I think there's a reason they may have wanted to do it. And I'm just speculating here, but it's my understanding that there's potentially going to be a member or two that will be unable to attend on that next February meeting. Maybe they know it, maybe they don't know it, but the likelihood of them being able to defeat this outright then is better than it is today. So therefore, they made the argument to table it now. The squishy Republicans that you have right there. No, I'm going to stop.
Well, you can stop, but I'll say it. No nuts. Sorry, ladies.
So does anybody want to hear Tammy Smith speak?
Only for pure entertainment value.
Well, let's hear what Tammy Smith has to say. She did speak, so let's play it.
I have done a lot of soul searching, and like I say, I would love nothing more than to get rid of these close contacts. I know it is putting a tremendous stress on our employees, just from a bookkeeping perspective, from the time that it's taking. I know they're doing countless hours. I have to agree with Mr. Bullard, though, when we are having our superintendent, our attorneys, our risk manager all caution us. I have a niece who works in the emergency room at Willis Knight, and Mr. Stellenberg is not making up those statistics. They are lined up on the wall. EMTs are having to come in and work to treat them.
Okay.
FUD.
Okay. Fear-mongering. EMTs are having to come in on their days off and work, because the walls are lined up with COVID. I mean, people got blood pouring out of their ears and noses everywhere. I mean,
there's monkeys running around everywhere.
There's monkeys on the loose, contaminating everybody. I mean, we are in dire straits here. Toilet paper is about to run out of Sam's. Okay.
Well, that may happen, but that's a whole other story.
Toilet paper is about to run out of Sam's. I mean, we've got to fearmonger this crap to death. I mean, and that's what the media has been doing. The media has been putting the fear of God into everybody, and so is your elected officials. Tammy Smith is sitting there putting the fear in folks.
I'm going to just sit here and be nice. Maybe she
they're
is.
Lined
maybe
up
she
on
is.
The wall, Rex.
Maybe she is. Maybe she is genuinely afraid. She is so afraid. Maybe she's like a recluse type person. I don't know.
EMTs are having to come in off duty. I know a lot of EMTs. I mean, I was a paramedic, emergency medical technician, paramedic for 20 years. I mean, I'm going to see if I can find some. I'm going to see if I can find some. If any of you are watching, chime in. This I don't think this will violate the Hatch Act. This is a matter of public concern.
Maybe you should go volunteer as a former EMT. Maybe you should, since it's so bad and there's monkeys running around with blood spurting out of their eyes, maybe you should go volunteer. Or maybe, as Ashley Lee Bullock says, maybe Tammy Smith just needs to be voted off the island.
Maybe. So, but Tammy Smith wasn't done. I think maybe Tammy Smith was advocating for everybody having to wear masks again.
Wait a minute. Dawn Thomas brings up a good point. If she's so afraid, why are all of her businesses open and running normal? She's a liar, in my opinion. Again, quoting Dawn Thomas. That's interesting. Dawn, what? And not that I want to go picket or encourage anybody to picket her buildings. Y'all, if she runs local businesses, go buy from her or whatever if you need her services. But what businesses does she have?
Oh, you need to look at D.D. Clark. Ramon Green says, but I never felt sick. son, kids don't feel sick, no cough, no fever, nothing, but still had COVID.
Yeah.
Look, I felt sick many days since then. In fact, I'm getting a headache talking about this subject matter. Do I need to quarantine myself and go run on and stand up on the wall of the halls of the emergency room so that an off-duty EMT officer can come in to take my temperature to say,
aren't
"Oh,
headaches one of the symptoms?
you're just having, COVID side effects. You
So
just need to go home and sleep it off, but you can't have no ivermectin just in the event that you do have COVID.
Well,
And watch out for those monkeys. Those monkeys will just ravage you down the road there. Where does it end?
D.D. White Clark says,
How asinine and crazy can we all delude ourselves and get here? How crazy and
"Oh, we're here. I don't even know why you're asking."
Reservation can we get?
Here's the fact: we're already here. Don't ask why or how. It's like, how can we get out of here? We're already here. D.D. White Clark says, "My husband is an EMR. He has yet to be called into work, ambulance company, due to people having blood coming from their eyes." What were those? Oh, horny toads out in West Texas, that have the blood that come out of their eyes, the little lizards that run around.
Oh, good gosh, yeah. So Tammy Smith wasn't done. She's look, y'all listen to her. You tell me, what do you think? Does she think we need to be back,
Do away with masks, which we were mostly in favor of on this board. It was under the stipulation that we would choose to do close contacts. Does our policy need to be visited? Yes. We are in less than 3 weeks, 4 weeks from Christmas. We're not even a month out from a surge of COVID. And I would ask that we could table this, study this, and come back with a plan to address our whole COVID plan instead of making this decision tonight.
Amen.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Anybody else have any comments?
A question.
I do.
Do we have any data around positives resulting from close contact?
We do not, that I know of. I know that we have asked for that information multiple times. I'm not aware that we've gotten that information from Louisiana Department of Health or any other government entity.
Okay. So they're going to bring Jason Rowland up, and Jason Rowland's going to have to give them break down the science for them. And, oh, by the way, our science is unscientific.
Yeah, and I just want you to know that our good friend and former school board member Shane Cheatham, almost CAO, says, "Duke, I saw a pet monkey on TikTok. They seem cool. If you see another one of those, please catch it for me." Shane, is it okay if it has blood spurting out of its eyes, or should it just be a regular monkey?
Look, Shane's just mad because he wasn't the chosen monkey to be the monkey down in Bossier City. I know, Shane. You can slap me the next time I see you. Somewhere David Jones is, yeah, he told that. Anyway.
Yeah, we digress and we're going downhill quickly. So back to the Charlie Brown school teacher.
Oh.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, back to science and the unscientific.
That's one or two sites. Mr. Rowland, and I'll say it up front, we don't know how accurate it is, it's an estimate. Go ahead, Mr. Rowland.
At one of the sites that have had the most quarantines, we tried to put some numbers ballpark. It's not anything that we can take to the bank, but roughly 40% of the close contacts ended up being positive. So now, like Coach said, we don't know if they got it somewhere else. We're not able to tell if they get it at school because the point's been made. The only place that we quarantine from is school, and we go everywhere else. So, but that's the number that's a ballpark number that we can give is around 40% with this Omicron variant.
And Mr. Rowland, we got that number from one of 34 schools?
Well, from the one that's had the most.
Okay.
We just took the one that's had the most.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Now, look, I'm critical of them trying to figure out the numbers and digging into it, but I got to compliment all of them. They're finally digging into this thing, and they're actually, trying to analyze things and be critical on all these numbers and all this stuff, and you know, he just said ballpark. Did you hear him? He said ballpark.
Well, it's like the weather, man. Well, there's a 40% chance they are, but that means there's a 60% chance they're not. It's 40% chance it's going to rain, so it's going to be sunshiny. I don't know. This is
40% have had it. Now, we don't know whether they got it at school or not. It may be that while they're out of school, they're going to play, you know, beach ball or play golf or do whatever or share widgets with each person that they're getting it. But by gosh, we know for a fact they didn't get it in school. Or, I mean, good grief, this is crazy. Why are we all
here's
having this exercise in insanity? Why are we doing this?
Don't make me answer that question. I'm going to literally piss everybody off watching. But here's the thing: is we're all going to get, the vast majority of us are all going to get it eventually. Man, about 1% or less, actually much less than that, of us will die from COVID or COVID-related complications.
You said gonna get it. How do you know that when you get tested, it's not because you already had it and you got past it and you didn't even know it?
Well, gonna get it or already have had it. Let me clarify, being the soothsayer that I am.
Rex, the FBI is raiding a testing facility for false testing.
They're chasing monkeys. All right.
Good grief, they're chasing monkeys. I mean, okay, look. Roland, Mitch Downey, all the rest of them, Tammy Smith, they're throwing spit wads against the wall. So what do they got to do? They got to get Snellgrove back in. Snellgrove to the rescue. So he comes in, right? Let's hear what Snellgrove. He's gonna save the day.
Okay.
From doing this for a couple of years, I mean, we're in a peak. I mean, we don't know if it's going to start coming down or not. Just the next several days or a week will probably tell that, because now we're starting to get the daily data back from the Louisiana Office of Public Health on that dashboard. And that dashboard, all you got to do is go to the Louisiana Office of Public Health COVID map, and it'll pull up. You just click it, and you'll see the dashboard that I see, and I get all the information from. Mr. Altman, a long time ago when this started, he wanted me to start sending it out to the jurors, and the list just got so big that I just sent it to my weather group now.
But that's been included in that email that you've sent out once a week since this started, right?
Yeah, and I probably misspoke on when it started, because it probably been like maybe a month or several months, because when it first got going, nobody really knew how serious this was going to be. But the hospitals are at the highest peak they've ever been since March of 2020. And I'm not here to sway one way or the other. I'm just here to give you the facts and the information that I get for your situational awareness, so you can make the proper decision for the community.
So if we vote on this and pass, could we put a timeline?
Okay. So basically, he's just there to help them make the best decision that they can make on behalf of the community when they think they need to know, which up to this point, none of them on the school board have been on a need-to-know basis. The only member of the school system that's been on a need-to-know basis was Mitch Downey.
Duke, I got to tell you, I got to be honest tonight. I'm absolutely bored silly watching these bureaucrats up there. Did they ever decide anything of any substance in this whole meeting? Well, or did they just kick the proverbial can down the road?
I mean, look, Adam Bass and Dennis and the other cat from Halton, they made good arguments that it's time to change, to head in a different direction. And arguably Tammy Smith and, Glenn Bullard, they procedured them. Basically, they procedured them, and here's the thing. I understand that they already knew that there was going to be a member or two missing on the February 3rd meeting. Now, Downey and Smith articulated that, they simply wanted to table it, to give the administration time to, draw up some new procedures or what have you. But I think that's bull crap. I think it's because they knew that somebody wasn't going to be there. so that if this motion was brought up again on the February 3rd meeting, that they would be able to kill it because they would have enough votes to get a tie or to be able to beat it. That's why they wanted to put it off. They can say whatever they want. I think that's the case. That's my opinion. I don't know it to be a fact. That's why I think they did what they did. They did not want to vote on that tonight, because if there was a vote on it that night, they would have lost. But if they can put it off to the next meeting and the in favor is one short, they know they'll be able to kill it.
And so, what's our speculation? And everybody watching, of course, feel free to comment, give us your ideas. I mean, what's the end game with this? Why are they doing this? Is it because they sincerely think that everybody's going to die?
Well, I'm going to tell you a couple of, I'm going to tell you some theories. You know, there's one theory out there that says Tammy Smith wouldn't vote in favor to make any change other than what the governor or the governor's lawyer there in John Geis advises, which is to do nothing, because they've all been told that personally they have risk, that they could each be personally sued and be personally liable. Well, you know, if you got money and supposedly Miss Smith has money, that, you know, why should she risk being personally sued? But what I would argue is I want to jump and we'll get off of this meeting, because we have done flogged this horse, as somebody in the city of Bossier has said. But and earlier in the show I said,
wrong one. Hold on. There we go.
Go back. Yeah. Earlier I said, for everybody that you have your reservations about the future of our country, you're worried about where things are going. If you're a teacher and you're worried about our students in the parish, if everybody's worried, right here what I'm fixing to play for you, if this does not give you hope for the future, nothing's going to give you hope. But this right here speaks volume. I don't know this kid.
Oh, yeah, this is a young man who...
Yes, sir, Bob.
Who is the grandson of one of our frequent viewers and watchers and commenters.
We didn't know that until after we commented on the last show and we got an email. And but I want everybody to listen close to what this kid says. And for all you school board members that are watching, you know, whether quietly or in your hole, wherever you are or what have you, and when you think about the liability that you have for the actions that you have taken to quote unquote protect people, I want you to think about the liability you have for the decisions you've already made and the lives that you've already adversely affected. So listen to this kid right here, and I want you to think about it in that context.
I'm Colin Herndon. I'm a junior at Benton High, and I've been quarantined since Christmas break, and I've continued to do everything. But before I say anything, I'm not really concerned with the whole mask and vaccination, so take what I say as you will. But my mom received a call this morning. Junior year is when you start taking those college classes and AP, dual enrollment, and whatnot. And I got a call this morning from one of those college classes, which are very lecture heavy and dependent on us being there to see the lectures, here, and take the tests, that said that I'm basically too far gone and laying behind to even continue the class. So, no disrespect to any decisions that have been made, but the protocols have failed me, because I'm pretty reliant on my GPA, and I do have plans and aspirations to further my education after high school. And me being quarantined has really detrimented that. Like, it's taken away from me a lot. And I mean, I'm not here, I don't really have any solutions to offer or anything else to say, but the protocols have failed me, because if you're too far behind to even catch up in an AP class, I mean, what else can you do? And I'm one of those students that has full access to technology at home, and I know that most people that are quarantined don't have that. And yeah, something needs to change. Thank you.
One second. I appreciate your comment.
Yes, sir.
You speak very. Have you been sick?
I've never been sick. I've been quarantined. I think you look on ARM course, it says I've been to school 60 days and been out out of school 32 days, and I've not been sick one of them. And I'm not vaccinated, nor have I really ever wore a mask. I do martial arts 6 days a week, and it's a pretty close contact sport with 300 plus people within that span of a week, and I've not been sick nor symptomatic.
And so you've missed school, but you haven't quarantined. If you're right, and so you're the only student that I had a chance to ask on the record.
Not quarantined for me.
How many of your friends and counterparts and everyone else are actually quarantined as recommended?
Zero. I mean, I go out to eat 7 days a week, and I'm at martial arts, mixed martial arts, and CrossFit 7 days a week. At my gym, CrossFit 7 days a week.
I applaud your courage. I couldn't do what you just did at your age. So thank you for your very candid, heartfelt comments.
Okay.
Yeah, that was worth going through the whole rest of it.
The education system, the education system has failed. How many kids, just like that one right there, that stepped to the mic and articulated what it has done to him? How many? Have any of these boards, has any of these bodies, have they taken accounting of how they have failed all these other kids? Have they even considered any of these other? I would argue that they've not even considered them.
Well, the first thing is they would have to define failed. I mean, they can't even define what a quarantine is. You expect them to be able to define failed?
Yeah.
I mean, think about that for a second. That's why I asked earlier, do they truly believe that the current, and even the entire time, that the quarantine protocols and vaccine protocols and all that, do they truly believe that those were working, or were they just following orders? Look, Kaylee Larkin brought it up. It's probably because they want some more ESSER money, more federal money. In the end, it's always about following the money. So that's why I asked that question. And until you can answer that question, whether they genuinely believe in what they're doing, they may genuinely believe that they haven't failed the kids because, oh my goodness, if we hadn't done this, all of our children would have died.
Yeah, and this isn't the rank and file teachers. This isn't your fault. This is a failure of your elected officials, and it's a failure of your administration of the education system. It's a failure all the way around. So when you ask the question about whether or not renewal should be made and whether or not, the education system should be supported, it's not about the individual teacher just trying to do their job to teach and educate kids. No, that's not it. The system as a whole is not structured so that you, the teacher, can do your job, and two, that the kids can receive it. The priorities are not them. It's not. I'm sorry. You can say what you want to, and you can defend the system all you want to, but the kids and their education is not the priority.
Well,
Prove me wrong.
Here's the thing, folks. A lot of people ask, well, I just wish we could get back to normal. And when are things going to go back to normal? Newsflash, they're never going back to normal now. Ever. And again, COVID is absolutely real. COVID has contributed to and or directly killed a lot of people. I'm not discounting that, but that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is the power. And look, it's not like there was a big, long organization chart and PowerPoint presentation that was sent down from, the Bilderberg group or whatever tinfoil hat deal you want to put on, and filtered through our government down to our local administrators. That's not the way it happens. But once the government decided and saw that it could exercise real power and control over everybody else follows suit because they just want to go along. And some of it is about getting federal dollars, which, we don't have anyway, but they have a printing press. So some of it is that, because the school board, look, they got plenty of federal money. We'll be publishing all that and expanding on that. They obviously could sure love to have more, but it's about power. There is no going back to normal, people. Never. Not going to happen.
I'm not convinced that we don't need to completely overhaul and turn the education system upside down. You know, look, teachers, we know you can't really jump out there and say, but Rex, I'm going to tell you, teachers, there's a lot of teachers that tell me in Bossier Parish that they're pissed off. They're pissed off. They've got too many bosses. They've thrown the towel in and they don't care no more. They don't care. I mean, administration has got them a boss. You got a boss of this, a boss of that, a boss of this, a boss of that. I mean, they can't do their jobs.
The teachers don't have enough authority and control in the classroom, period. They just don't. And look, I can appreciate how frustrated a lot of teachers are. And a lot of them, unfortunately, can't really say that publicly. We get it. We've been told that. We've discussed that with other teachers. And I agree. There needs to be a reset in education, or at least in Louisiana and Bossier Parish specifically. This ain't working well, folks.
Rex, but here's the thing. What are we supposed to do? Because the people that would argue, oh, no, this is just a renewal. You're supposed to it's a renewal. You don't ask no questions. We check the box and we move right along. What are we supposed to do? Go talk to the superintendent? Talk to the school board? We just need to go talk to them. We need to go. Maybe they don't know. They don't know, Rex. We just need to go talk to them. They'll get it. They'll understand after we talk to them.
Let me educate some of our educators out there. That's not the way the process works. Again, Duke and I have said it over and over. We're not for or against the renewal at this point. And honestly, I'll tell you, I'm leaning certainly towards renewing the millage. But let me educate everybody a little bit. It is okay to question the authority. It is okay to question the millage. It is okay to question its use and how it's being spent, what it's being spent on. And is it actually going to the classroom and making its way down to the educators and to the teachers, or is it being squandered by a bunch of bureaucrats and top-heavy administrators who can't run anything? Okay, so let me calm down for a second. So what it boils down to is, we're going to continue to closely scrutinize the numbers. We don't have to be rocket scientists to do that. There's this thing called Google and research and just pulling up documents and simply just reading them. And so we're going to continue to question that, and we're absolutely going to question the Bossier Parish School Board and the administration and where that money is being spent and how it's being spent and what are the effects of the last couple of years through all this COVID madness. So that's it. It's that simple.
We already got a comment that's taken personal, what we're saying. And, look, we're not saying we're against teachers and we're not saying we're against education. We appreciate what you're doing. What we are trying to say is to get you to look into this thing a little bit deeper.
Use logic. Don't just run on emotion.
Don't exactly.
Even if you vote yes for it or no, but if you vote yes for it, you should still question it. You should still analyze and see what the school board is spending on what. When you have administrators that are making three times what the teachers are making. And look, I'm a capitalist. I believe everybody ought to be able to make as much money as you can make legally, okay? But when you're a teacher and you have administrators or a PR person making 2 to 3 times what you're making as an educator in the classroom dealing with the kids all day, something is not right with that picture. It's not right. And you should question that. Even if you're going to vote yes for the millage renewal, you should question that. There's a reason. Otherwise, they're going to keep on doing it, and the teachers are always going to stay at the bottom of the list, and the students. And you're going to have to keep coming out of your pocket to buy supplies for the school, which is just stupid. That's like you work at a job, and you're buying the materials for your employer so your employer can go out and continue to make the profit, but you don't benefit from that. That's just dumb. And I don't mean that the teachers are dumb. I understand you're doing what you have to do for the kids. I get it. I'm just saying, in principle, that is crazy, and it's got to stop. All right, so sorry, folks.
Soapbox.
Soapbox. I'm off my soapbox for a few minutes.
All right. Well, we got to get off the Bossier Parish School Board because that's getting your blood pressure up. It's getting my blood pressure up. I mean,
And we're at 2 hours, and we still have to do the Tommy show. And I want to thank everybody. We're at 80, bumping 90 folks watching now for the last 45 minutes to an hour. That's awesome. So we appreciate everybody watching. We appreciate all your comments, even if you don't agree with us. Absolutely, it's fine to disagree with us. So
yeah. Now, Rex, to the teachers out there, I mean, look, we know we've already talked to a lot of teachers who tell us about the problems that you're having within the system. We already know, but we know that you can't come out and publicly say things. We know that, but there's this little thing called Proton Mail. We get anonymous tips all the time. I mean, we get tips about, should I say criminal activity?
some of it is, yeah.
I didn't know if we wanted to say that or not, but you already did. So, I mean, we get tips on all kinds of crap, and we don't put it out there where it comes from or what have you. I mean, but at the bottom line, we want to shine light, and we want to truly have transparency on things and to make things better.
Hey, it's the old see something, say something thing. You're right, Duke. I'm glad you brought this up because I may have forgotten it completely tonight. If you're new to watching the show, if you're a school teacher, educator, and I know that y'all get training every year on what you can and can't say on social media and all that crap. Anyway, go to protonmail.com, make you a free Proton Mail account. Don't put your name in it. Don't use any identifying information. It is anonymous. You can even use a VPN if you want. You don't have to. All right? Send an email from your Proton Mail account, again, no identifying information, to bossierwatch@protonmail.com. We will look into it. If you've got some information that you want to share about things that happen with the school board or working for the Bossier Parish school system or any government entity for that matter, send us an email. We will dig into it. We don't divulge information, but don't put any personally identifying information in the email anyway, and we'll look into it. All right. Sorry, Duke. Didn't mean to.
So we're at 2 hours. Do we want to talk about the Tommy Chandler Achievement Show? Did you see it?
Well, you asked the question, so I got to say, no, actually, I'd rather go watch YouTube and fishing videos. However, it was kind of interesting, so maybe.
Well, we'll go through it really, really fast. In fact, I would say, and I put a link in our notes, the very first part of it, and all we'll do is we'll summarize the Tommy Chandler Achievement Show just off of the 0016 mark. And I mean, it's a legitimate question that, politicians are always asked, and we'll shorten this up because we have been at 2 hours. And
yeah. All right. So what time stamp am I going to?
0016 on that.
0016. Let me make sure.
This is your home. This is your family room / gym.
Oh.
Okay.
Music studio.
All right, let's skip the ad. Here we go. 0016.
Yes.
Tell me when I get there. Right here?
Yep.
16-second mark. All right, let me back it up just a touch. Here we go.
Chandler, what made you decide to run for mayor?
Over the years, I've kind of had a lot of lunches with different politicians and businessmen and talking over the years at my warehouse on Swan Lake Road. And then
Nice plug there, Tommy.
Together, and I just kind of liked the way what they did for livings. I've had the mayors come to speak at my
Okay.
and,
Why did he run for mayor? Well, over the years, he had lunch with a lot of politicians, and he liked what they did.
Yeah, they got to take pictures and cut ribbons with big oversized scissors.
You know what? Straight to the point, and I can't argue with that. He just had lunch with a lot of politicians, and he liked what they did.
In my new spirit of positivity, which I kind of wasn't doing earlier in the show, I think I'm going to agree with you here, Duke. That is a positive change in Bossier City. We have a different guy holding the fake scissors. That is absolutely positive.
It is. But there in this video, there was a lot of achievements that he didn't talk about.
Oh, really?
He left a lot out.
Shall we name off a few?
I think it's incumbent upon us to help him out. I mean, we wanted change. He was one of the original amigos. We coined the three amigos. It's now it's the one amigo. It's got to be the
Yeah.
one amigo.
Well, it's kind of one and a half because Chris Smith is the remaining amigo, but Brian Hammond is so far kind of almost getting to amigo status. So we'll make him an official half amigo. Tommy's out.
Yeah, Tommy's not an amigo anymore.
And I got to ask, since our good friend Shane Cheatham is watching, who is the almost CAO, hey, Shane, back at that South Bossier luncheon, which is a cool deal you guys do down there in South Bossier, does it still sting a little bit when Tommy told you how much he appreciated Shane and appreciated you and you were his guy and he was standing behind you?
Oh, I think you might be getting a little personal there, Rex. I know.
You don't have to answer that, Shane. I just wanted to remind everybody of our fake scissor holding mayor.
But look, let's talk about some of those achievements. I mean, Tommy promised that he was going to have an audit, as soon as he was sworn in.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to try to kind of add some of these to our notes.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Where's the audit?
I may be wrong on that achievement. I am wrong. I'll own it.
Wait. He did an audit?
No. I think he promised there was going to be an audit, but no audit. So he's sworn in, but there's no audit.
Okay. So far, achievement number one is there's no audit.
No audit.
Okay,
yep.
That's good.
He was able to conquer that. So transparency, he talked about, he was wanting to bring transparency to Bossier. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about transparency?
Well, there was that whole kerfuffle about, bringing in the new police chief. No, wait, that was interim police chief. No, wait, there was no title for that. Was it substitute police? I'm so confused. And Chris Estes is a good guy, but what is his time?
Did they actually do an investigation?
I think they were asked to, and I think the DA's office was as well. I think they both, told the mayor's office to go take a hike, but I don't know. So
transparency right there.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're still waiting since what, October, maybe November, I don't know, on some public information requests. I mean, the mayor is the custodian of records. I mean,
yes, he is.
State law says you only have so many days. I mean, and we've been waiting
3 days. We've been waiting 3 days. Legally, they have 3 days to respond or give us a new date and a justification why. That's the law.
But we've gave them months now, and
maybe he thought the law read 3 months. Maybe.
I mean, so the thing is, if there's any attorneys out there that are willing to do some pro bono work to ensure the public is informed, here's your political start. To lay claim to wanting to have sunshine on local government, because Tommy Chandler, he's the guy for transparency in Bossier City, but yet they not doing it on public information requests. It's not happening.
No, they're not. Okay, well, so surely there's got to be some other positive things too.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I forgot, Rex. Since Tommy came in, they increased the cost of documents being produced in the city of Bossier, and word on the street is they increased the costs to prevent transparency.
Wait, are you saying he's supporting the timber industry and the paper industry?
Yes.
I'm trying to spin. See, I'm trying to be the spin guy, the campaign guy. So I'm trying to spin this positively. So I'm going to put down he's supported the paper industry.
Well,
sound legit?
Yeah. That sounds good. The price to get documents and transparency in Bossier City before Tommy Chandler was one price, and now the price has increased exponentially. For some reason, to increase transparency in Bossier City.
Well, look, we're finding some positive changes in Bossier City. Go ahead, Tommy. What else has he done?
Well, he had a hand in getting the oldest road in Bossier City shut down, and no accountability for whose fault it was.
He killed a road. How about that?
Well, Shed Road, but now see, that's not entirely accurate. He did try to get some accountability. He did.
If he would have done one other positive thing he ran on, which was getting rid of Mancheck or calling them to task, then the road may still be alive.
No,
we wouldn't have cut the legs out from under Shed
You
Road.
forgot. He tried to hold NTB accountable for that.
Oh, he did, but he somehow managed to bungle that.
Oh yeah, remember that? Remember NTB? They were going to throw NTB under the bus. They even
Yeah, a special meeting. Okay,
special meeting, and they're like going
special-
to throw them under the Zamboni, and then NTB just happened to show up with some information and said, "This
And
is
an
somebody
attorney.
else's responsibility."
Yeah, so they had a special meeting celebrating NTB.
Yeah, so he accomplished not holding anybody accountable, and nobody to date knows what the 8 digits and expense would be if they'd have stopped, and just rethought the project, and we'll never know, will we?
Okay, so, I mean, he's got all these positive things going on now. There's got to be more. He's been a busy guy. That's a big pair of scissors.
No, he got Sportran bus stops.
Oh,
additional
yeah.
Sportran bus stops.
Wait, not just that. Free Sportran bus.
Free at that. Yeah. Who in Bossier can argue with that? He got new bus stops, signs, the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah. There we go.
That's another. He didn't talk about that accomplishment.
No. Gosh, I almost forgot about that. Our good friend David Jones, former city councilman, will love that we remembered the free Sportran bus routes.
I mean, and don't forget, his office, threatened to submit the media into submission by death by Zamboni. Who can forget that?
Okay, wait. So he helped the Zamboni industry. Let's see. We got to put that. Well, I'm going to have to make the font smaller. He's got so many positive things going on here.
He's growing the Zamboni industry. Who can forget about that? I mean, but his greatest, in my mind, his greatest achievement was turning his back on his CAO pick.
He had another positive accomplishment: world-class backstabbing. How about that?
Was it backstabbing or was it turning his back? I don't know that it was backstabbing. I think it was just basically turning his back. I mean, look, he was up for a fight, but then all of a sudden, the fight was just gone. Somebody just raised their knuckles up into the air, and like he's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, but backstabbing sounds so much more dramatic.
It does sound dramatic, but is that an achievement?
Sure. Why not? It was world class. It wasn't just any backstabbing. I've got the video.
Okay, well, whatever. I'll give it to you however you want to frame it that way. But the last and the very most famous of all achievements for Tommy Chandler in Bossier City.
Kind of like Rudolph, the most famous reindeer of all.
What did he promise? What did he promise in his campaign was going to happen?
It's kind of along the lines of power back to the people a little bit. Was it that whole chart? What's that deal? Charter something or another?
Old charter?
Old charter.
He was going to have some old charter with all the citizens of Bossier and
sounds
fix
like a party.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
close enough.
There's some things you can fix with some old charter, maybe. Yeah, but it was the Charter Commission, right?
Yeah, Charter Commission, yeah.
See, our mind's in the gutter. We're thinking about alcohol and stuff. And I think with a Charter Commission, that also includes term limits.
Oh,
right?
I had completely forgot about term limits. Now, let's see. I've got to adjust some fonts because I just can't fit all this stuff in here like this. This is crazy.
Because he was all over the Charter Commission and the term limits. That was another achievement.
Yeah, everybody's term limited now by orders of Tommy.
Oh, and David Crockett. Thank you, David Crockett. David Crockett just, retrieved us. He pointed out another accomplishment. City engineer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we have a new city engineer, right? His name is Ruttenbuck.
His name is Ruttenbuck. I mean, newsflash to everybody. Tommy Chandler and his office have fell in love with Manchac and Ruttenbuck. I mean, they're all good now. It's peas and carrots. There's no problems there anymore. Because if there was a problem, surely everybody in City Hall would have said something or done something if there was a problem. Surely they wouldn't have sat and let that achievement go by in getting us a city engineer.
Surely not. And folks, I'm sorry y'all are going to have a hard time reading this as the font gets smaller and smaller. There's just been so many accomplishments.
I mean, he should have came on our show and had us list all of his achievements.
Yeah.
Why did he not do that? Why
Yeah.
did he go to some puff piece on some mainstream media?
Yeah, speaking of puff piece on mainstream media, let's take a look at that pair of
Oh.
scissors. Again, look at that pair of scissors.
Wait a minute. Mainstream media, ain't that what they call fake news?
Well, you know, they're local. I mean,
They are local. I like them.
and I'm sure that's a real pair of scissors.
It's kind of like the Times. I mean, they've got some fake news people over there, but anyway.
Well, okay. So,
all right.
I got to say, in my new spirit of positivity, that we should all email and reach out to Tommy, or next time I see him at Strong's, I'm going to have to buy his breakfast or buy coffee for him because of all these positive things. I just did not realize how much positivity there was.
Oh, look, I just saw a comment about another achievement that we left off. We forgot.
How could we forget one? What did we forget?
Tahoe Tommy.
Oh,
How could we forget?
Yeah.
And the trips to Dallas. I mean, but look, we researched that. They said the Tahoe sat in the driveway the whole time. So that picture that somebody sent us of their driveway on that weekend with the timestamp on the photo of there was no Tahoe sitting in the driveway. I guess that was just more fake news. Huh.
I guess so. And I would like to point out here, too, that, they did help support the Vegas comfort professional industry.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That may be going just a little bit too far. I don't know that there's an achievement there.
Well, but it's helping out a fellow city and a fellow state. I mean, I'm sure the city probably reimbursed for some of the expenses. Weren't they there on official city business, or did they just go there to play golf during an important city council meeting?
I don't know. But, we're over 2 hours right now, and we're still sitting on, over 90 people between the multi things. So, look, Rex, in closing this show, I mean, we need to leave everybody with a laugh. If we're not humorous enough, but I saw the funniest thing on Twitter here, and I might have sent you a link to it. But we got to share this. This is just hilarious. I don't know, and some people may take offense to this, but guys, you got to lighten up. You got to have a laugh, and you know what? Some people get triggered by all this stuff, and if you can't laugh at this, I mean, you need to get a life.
Looky there, Trump has a stash. Like a porn stash. Okay, here we go. Whoa!
Wait for it. Stop it.
Wow.
Just stop it.
Wow. Triggered.
Okay.
And that, folks, is what we mean by triggered.
You all needed that laugh, and you're dumber for it at the same time.
Yes, there is no doubt about it. I'm leaving here with a few less brain cells than I started with. That's unusual. All right, folks. Hey, we appreciate everybody watching, putting up with us, listening to our commentary, agreeing, disagreeing with us, the whole 9 yards. If you get a chance, go over to BossierWatch.org or BossierWatch.com. Honestly, it doesn't matter. If you want to send us some information or videos, there's a send link there to send files to us. BossierWatch at ProtonMail.com. Go make you your own Proton Mail account. Send us anonymous information, no identifying information. You also go to the website, donate us a little coffee money if you want to, because we're now on 2 Facebook pages, streaming to YouTube. I've got us a Rumble account. We also have a Telegram account, and I don't know, half a dozen other things that we're going to be streaming to. And the podcasts are coming out here soon. And it takes a little bit of coffee money to keep us awake to be able to do all this. But either way, we appreciate everybody watching and everybody commenting, agreement or not.
Thank you all. See you next show. Keep it in perspective. And hey, see you next time.
Y'all have a good night, folks.